Hi everyone, it's Mr. Spinelli with the second set of words for the first round of our Word Masters Challenge. So by Tuesday the 2nd, so the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, please have listened to this video and watched through the video to be about 10 minutes long, and remember to have a flashcard for each word. On the front of the card, the word, and on the back of the card, the parts of speech and definition. Don't forget parts of speech. That was a big point of emphasis on the last quiz. And we're going to continue to kind of work on that skill of identifying what the parts of speech are so then we can properly use the word in a sentence. Our first word is promenade, and promenade rather, and you actually probably know this because you can see here the word prom. It comes from the term promenade. So as a noun, it means a paved public walk, typically one along a waterfront at a resort. This is an example of a promenade. If you're going to use it as a verb, so to promenade is to take a walk, ride, or drive in public, especially to be seen by others. Usually, like when I grew up in Burlington, it was very common for everybody to go to the gazebo at the center of town to take pictures. And so everybody can kind of show off how nice they looked in their dresses, their tuxedos. And I don't know, Reading, I'm assuming, has a similar tradition, and that's where the term prom comes from. Ratify is a really important word when you're understanding our history as a country, because it's a verb and it means to give formal consent or making it officially valid. For example, when we set up our first constitution, the constitution had to be ratified by all of the representatives of every state. So there needed to be ratification, which meant that everyone had to agree. So again, ratify is a verb. It's usually used when we talk about government, and it basically means to come to an agreement and to make it official. Sage can be used in a lot of different ways, so pay attention to the parts of speech here. As a noun, the first way it can be used is an aromatic plant with grayish green leaves that's used as a culinary herb. Your parents probably cook with it. In fact, right now I think my wife's downstairs using it on our chicken meal. And here's a picture of sage. It can also mean a very wise person. Later in the year, we'll read The Giver by Lois Lowry. And in this story of The Giver, this is the giver right here, actually. He comes to be known as as a sage, a very wise, dependable person. And as an adjective, you can also use it to describe someone who is having or showing lots of wisdom. So, for example, you could say that I often rely on my older cousin because he is very sage. So in other words, you're describing somebody who has lots of wisdom, who has lots of experiences, like maybe these two handsome guys. Zephyr is a noun in both definitions. The first is a soft, gentle breeze. You might have heard this already used in describing a setting. I think of Zephyr, I think of like a very peaceful summer or spring day when the sun is out. And as a noun, it's a fine cotton, and it's often used in shirts. So, for example, this is a shirt made of the fine cotton from Zephyr. But it's most commonly used to describe the soft, gentle breeze in the first definition. Swaddle is a verb. It means to wrap someone, especially a baby, in garments or cloth. Very, very common. Here's a very happy baby that's been swaddled. Very common, especially when babies are young and they're going out into the cold, maybe for a walk or maybe just to go into the car to go somewhere, that they are properly swaddled. And again, that's a verb. Eminent. Eminent is famous and respected within a particular profession. For example, Usain Bolt. Many of you may know him. He owns a lot of world records for Brazil in various track events. He is an eminent athlete. He's someone that is famous and respected within his particular profession. I think a lot of us that go into the teaching field hope that we can become eminent in terms of being respected within our profession, that people look at us as good role models. One of the professionals that a lot of writing teachers look to is a man named Kelly Gallagher, and he's an eminent professional within the writing teacher community. Protocol, you've probably heard this word used quite a bit. It's the official procedure or system of rules. A perfect example is one of the protocols that we have at Parker is when we go into the auditorium, we enter silently and we stand for the 8th grade. In my English class, one of the protocols is that at the beginning of the period, you stop by and pick up the papers as you enter the room. So I think those are two ways to think about protocol, but basically it's like a procedure. For example, like we have a protocol for when we do a fire drill. All of our Alice drills is the Alice protocol that we follow. So protocol basically means like a procedure or a system of rules that we follow. And again, it's a noun. Deface, this is probably a word that you've heard before as well. It means to spoil the surface or appearance of something by drawing or writing. It means to disfigure. So oftentimes it's used when describing, like this instance, how graffiti can deface property. Serpentine is like a serpent or snake, and you'll notice here kind of very curvy and wavy and kind of all over the place. As a verb, it can also be used to move in a winding path. So this picture right here could actually count as both. You could say that that's a very serpentine road. You could also say that the road that we took to get to Vermont serpentines. In other words, it moves up and down in a very winding path, as evident here. Font is a noun. It's the first definition is a receptacle in a church for the water used in baptisms. It's typically stone. Here's a picture of one. And the second one that we're all, I'm sure, familiar with is the type of one particular face and size, or a type rather, and it means just various fonts. I hope you found this video helpful. The homework due on Tuesday the 25th again is to, I'm sorry, that should actually say, talk about an egregious error. On Tuesday 12/2 is to pause the video after each word and create a flashcard that has the word as well as the parts of speech and definitions. I would suggest that you instantly and immediately start working on getting comfortable using them in sentences. And your quiz will be Friday, December 5th. So Friday, December 5th for these 10 words. And let us know if you have any questions, and best of luck.